as a result of this property bubble, as you can see, Ireland became the most indebted country in the EU. Look at France and Germany. Private sector debts are only roughly equivalent to their national income. We're pretty well 2.5 times our national income in this country. Now, that level of debt might have been supportable had the boom continued, had the optimism which driven it up continued. But it's not supportable at the present level. And that was why the banks got into trouble. Look at our, I won't read this because it's quicker for you to read it than me. But we're all supporting the equivalent of 94,000 euros in borrowing. And when when it's said, Ireland has become uncompetitive, that we're a high-cost country, just about on a level or perhaps exceeding that in Finland, this is why. If you don't owe £94,000 euros yourself, then that doesn't really matter. Because every time you enter into a transaction here, the business that you're favouring with your custom, they are having to charge for their borrowings and their repayments, and all their suppliers are too. Our borrowing has created a very high cost structure. And the basis on which the banks loaned their amount was only 44.3 billion. In other words, there's very little capital behind them. This is the basis of the debate that's going on at the moment about recapitalising the banks. It only needs a very small proportion of their loans to turn sour before they're wiped out completely. But it's worse than that, because if any of their debts turn sour, they have to call in their loans. And that's why this recapitalisation is going to be a factor. It's going to be in the public debate within the next few weeks in this country. Now, that recapitalisation, the taxpayers' money going into the bank to enable them to continue lending at the present rate, that's money down the drain. That just maintains the status quo. That just enables them to continue their present level of lending. It doesn't solve the problem at all. The most important thing is to stop the banks having bad debts at all, resolving their problems, and this is where Chris's approach comes in. The national debt is very, very low. Interest on it only 400 euros a person. So this is how the private sector debt built up in terms of the fraction of GNP, and you can see how the public debt fell as GNP grew. You can scarcely see the yellow there. Let me go onto this one, which is a tabular version of that last slide. If you assume that the debt burden of private debt is twice that of public debt because of the repayments, and that's a very conservative assumption. It could easily be 3 times. Then you can see that in fact the debt burden that the country is carrying in relation to its national income has in fact doubled since 1996.